26 lanes. Houston built the widest freeway on Earth to fix traffic, and the drive home got longer. The project cost about $2.8 billion. It finished in 2008, and within a few years, the commute on that freeway was taking more time than it did before they widened it. Not the same, longer. This is not a story about a construction failure. Nothing collapsed. Nothing was built wrong. The contractors delivered what was designed, and the engineering is sound. You can drive it today and it works exactly as intended. The problem is that what it was intended to do doesn't work, and traffic engineers have known that for a very long time. Start with why Houston did it. The Katy Freeway runs west out of downtown Houston toward the suburb of Katy, and by the 1990s, it was one of the worst bottlenecks in the United States. Houston had grown outward at a pace few American cities have matched. Subdivision after subdivision pushing west across flat, cheap, endlessly available Texas land. Every one of those houses fed cars onto the same corridor. By the early 2000s, the Katy Freeway was carrying far more traffic than it had ever been designed for. Rush hour ran for hours in each direction. Local news covered it the way other cities cover weather. So the Texas Department of Transportation did the thing that seems obviously correct. If too many cars are trying to fit through a pipe, make the pipe bigger. The plan was enormous. Hundreds of properties acquired and cleared, years of construction on a road that could never actually close. The final cross-section, counting the main lanes, the managed toll lanes, and the frontage roads on both sides, reaches 26. When it opened in 2008, Houston had built something genuinely unprecedented. The widest freeway in the world delivered, and then the traffic came back. Here's the mechanism, and it has a name traffic engineers have been using for decades: induced demand. Think about what a congested road actually is. It isn't a fixed number of cars fighting over too little space. It is a price. The price is time, how long the trip takes. And when a trip is slow and miserable, people quietly do things to avoid paying that price. They leave at 5 in the morning. They take a different route. They take the bus. They work from an office closer to home. Or they decide not to live out west at all. Every one of those people is a trip that is not on the freeway. Not because they do not want to make it, because congestion is charging too much. Now widen the road. For a while, it genuinely works. The lanes open, the price of the trip drops, the commute gets faster. In the first months after a project like this, the improvement is real and people notice it. But that lower price is visible to everyone. The person who was leaving at 5 in the morning goes back to leaving at 7. The person taking the bus starts driving again. The person who took the long way around comes back. And over the following years, the person choosing where to buy a house looks at that fast new commute and decides the suburb 30 miles out is now perfectly reasonable. Developers see the same thing. More subdivisions go up, more offices, more shopping, more everything. All of it feeding the same corridor. The road fills back up, and it stops filling only when the trip becomes slow and miserable enough that people start avoiding it again, which is to say, it stops filling at almost exactly the congestion level you started with. You did not add capacity to a fixed amount of demand. You revealed demand that congestion had been suppressing the whole time. The measurements on the Katy Freeway are what made this famous. After the widening, researchers tracked travel times along the corridor. Within a handful of years, the numbers had gone the wrong direction. Peak period commutes were taking longer than they had before the $2.8 billion expansion. By 2014, the drive from downtown Houston out to Pin Oak was taking 30% longer in the morning rush than it had in 2011 and 55% longer in the evening. On a 29-mile commute, that's 13 extra minutes in the morning and 19 in the evening. 3 years after the widest freeway on Earth opened, 26 lanes and the drive home got worse. Now the part that makes this genuinely uncomfortable. This was not a surprise to the profession. The relationship between road capacity and traffic volume had been studied for decades before Houston broke ground. Economists had put numbers on it, showing that when you increase lane miles in a metropolitan area, vehicle travel rises to match almost proportionally. Add 10% more road, get roughly 10% more driving. None of this was fringe. It was in the literature, it was taught, and it was argued about in public during the planning of the project itself. The expansion went ahead anyway, which raises the real question of this story. If the people planning American highways know that widening a congested urban freeway will not durably fix congestion, why is it still overwhelmingly what gets built? The answer isn't stupidity. It's that a widening project is legible and the alternatives are not. A widening has a start date, a completion date, a photograph, and a number. A politician can stand in front of it. We widened the Katy Freeway is a sentence you can say to voters. We changed land use policy across 4 counties, so fewer people need to make this trip is not. And when a corridor is failing, the people stuck in it demand action, and the only action with money already attached to it is more lanes. So the road gets wider, and in a few years the corridor is failing again, but now it's failing at 26 lanes. There's nowhere left to expand, and the neighborhoods that would have made room have already been demolished for the last attempt. That's what makes Katy different from an ordinary planning mistake. Widening doesn't just fail to solve congestion, it burns the options you'd need later. To build those lanes, Houston acquired and cleared hundreds of properties along the corridor. Homes, businesses, land, that's permanent. The neighborhoods that were there are not coming back, and the space they occupied is asphalt now. The wider road also spreads the city further out. Every mile of new suburb built around a fast commute is a mile of development that only works if driving stays fast, and driving does not stay fast. So you end up with more people, further away, more dependent on a road that is congested again, with less room to fix it than you had at the start. And the freeway is now a barrier. 26 lanes is not something you cross on foot or on a bike or casually at all. It divides the neighborhoods on either side permanently, which pushes even short local trips back onto the freeway. Each expansion makes the next problem harder and the alternatives more expensive. There is one part of the project that behaves the way the whole thing was supposed to. The Katy Freeway includes managed toll lanes, priced by demand. The more congested they get, the more they cost. And those lanes work. Because the price is money instead of time, drivers respond to it immediately, and the lanes stay moving. It's the same road, built at the same time by the same agency. The difference is that the toll lanes charge for road space directly, and the free lanes charge in the one currency that no amount of concrete can add more of. And here's the last thing worth sitting with. The Katy Freeway is not a ruin. It is a well-built, well-maintained piece of infrastructure that carries an enormous number of people every single day, and Houston would be worse off without it. The engineers who designed it did their jobs. What failed was the theory of the problem. Everyone involved treated congestion as a supply problem, not enough road, when it is a demand problem that road supply cannot reach. So $2.8 billion bought the widest freeway on the planet, the commute got longer, and the only surprising thing is that anyone was surprised. 26 lanes, and on the drive home, you're still sitting still. Thanks for watching. If you want more of the roads America built against the odds and what they cost to keep, subscribe. There's a lot more out there.